What if I was to tell you that every single thought, fear, and belief that you have isn't yours? It has been given to you either via when you were growing up or when you were in the womb. You see, we are, as human beings, like walking computers, and we are literally programmed basically from birth to experience reality in a certain way. If you've ever felt frustrated because you can't help but sabotage yourself in areas that are really important to you, this is the reason why. In today's video, my aim is to help you understand manifestation and taking action and creating the reality that you really want in a way that is easy to understand, so that you understand exactly what you need to do in order to create a different reality. Because I truly believe anyone can achieve anything that they desire. The only things that they need to overcome are the thoughts inside of their minds and the beliefs inside of their bodies, which you will understand from today's videos aren't yours, and they were never yours to begin with. So what we want to do on this manifestation journey is reprogram you to believe different things and see the world in a different way. And if you let it, this video could completely change your life. So give me the next 15 to 20 minutes and see how this could literally reshape your entire reality. When you were born with a completely blank slate. Your body intuitively knows how to do things like breathe, cry, and digest because they are literally wired into our most primal DNA. But what we are not born with is any fears. We aren't born with a fear of judgment or a fear of success or a fear of failure. These are things that are given to us. In some cases, these fears can actually be handed down to us through epigenetics. Now, I'm going to get into that in a little bit, so don't worry if that sounds like a lot right now. The way I want you guys to see yourselves from now onwards is like a computer. Every single part of us is programmed. Every thought that we have, every belief that we hold, it is all being programmed into our nervous system through repetition, through the societies that we grow up in and the communities that we are a part of. So that means that if you grow up in a certain society, community, or family that has very strong beliefs about whether it's money or visibility, you will just naturally, as a byproduct of that, absorb those beliefs as you are going through childhood. In the first year alone, we build our entire nervous system. So whatever is happening in that first year can really dictate the type of nervous system that we have. In fact, CPTSD is often formed in year one, because this is where our nervous system is really starting to be formulated. And so if there is a lot of chaos in the household, it can create CPTSD. From this point onwards, we are basically walking around and trying to program ourselves for safety. We are trying to understand what can we do, what can we not do, and how are we going to survive in this world. We are probably one of the only mammals that literally is completely incapacitated as soon as we are born. We fully rely on a caregiver basically up until we're like 7 years old. And so we are learning from that caregiver, and they are programming us. How do we survive? How do we walk around the world? How do we exist without injury, without coming into conflict, without dying in an unnecessarily violent way? And this is where the majority of your programming is installed. So if you grow up in a household and your parents are consistently saying money doesn't grow on trees, what you're going to learn is money is really hard to come by and it doesn't grow on trees. It's really hard to make. So often when you are in adult life, you have a program that is running that says it's hard to make money. What that does is it influences then our reticular activating system, our RAS. The RAS essentially dictates how we filter our reality, and we filter it based on the thoughts that we have in our mind and the beliefs that we have in our body. All of this programming lives within our ego, and our ego loves to be right. So we are consistently searching for ways that we can validate and prove that our ego beliefs are right. So if we have this belief of money doesn't grow on trees, our ego wants to consistently create situations filtered through the RAS that prove that that belief is true. And when that happens, we then start to form our reality based on that program. This is why two people that have the same level of intelligence, that potentially have gone to the same school, sit side by side next to each other in a classroom, could have wildly different experiences when they leave school and graduate, because one had the programming, it's really hard to make money, whereas the other one potentially had a family that programmed it's really easy for you to make money and didn't have to reprogram themselves in order to experience success and easy money. But what I really want you to understand here is these are just programs. They are lines of code within our body, and we have the ability to change them. Now, that's just one aspect of how we are programmed, but there is a whole other aspect called epigenetics, which talks about how we are programmed before we even come into our human bodies. This is about how trauma and fears are basically passed down through bloodline until they actually affect us today, and there is science to prove this. In 2014, in Nature Neuroscience, a group of scientists did a study on mice. What they did was they trained them to fear a certain smell. I can never say this word, but they trained them to fear acetophenone. But it is a sweet, pungent smell that sometimes is referred to as like oranges. Once they trained these mice to fear this smell, they basically allowed them to go about their life, and then they went on to reproduce and they had offspring. They then tested whether the baby mice would inherit this same fear. So they gave the baby mice the same smell and they looked at their brain patterns to see what would happen within their brains. And what they found, despite having never smelt this smell before and having no conditioning personally to fear that smell, the area in their brain responsible for fear and detecting that specific smell was elevated, showing that the fear that their parents had had was passed down to them through their bloodline, and they took on the fear that their family had had, despite having no direct exposure to it. Isn't that crazy? What this shows, despite this just being about mice, is that our fears get literally transported down our bloodlines. So if you had a family member that went through a period of war, that particular war trauma that they have could very likely be passed down through your bloodline and could give you irrational fears that you have no direct experience with. Maybe you have a really strong fear of small spaces, but you've never actually done or experienced anything that would cause you to fear small spaces. This can often be because it is in your family line. Somewhere down your genetics, someone may have had an experience with a small space where they became incapacitated by fear, and that is then transported down bloodlines until it reaches us today. And these, again, are programs. So these are program beliefs that are in our nervous system before we've even had a chance to be born. But again, the important part is they are programs. They are things that we can deprogram, because anything in our nervous system can be deprogrammed. So if you have a great grandma that lived through the famine and she developed a belief that said money isn't guaranteed and safety disappears fast, you may be experiencing the same beliefs today, even though you've had no direct experience or trauma that would have created that belief. It's just something that is in your DNA and in your nervous system. Again, it is a program that we can reprogram. So this is where it's very important to understand that what you consciously want is very different to what your nervous system feels safe to hold. So you could consciously want all of the money, the really huge house, the incredible car, and to completely change your reality to live one that you can barely even imagine right now. But if your nervous system says that even one part of that is not safe, you will sabotage yourself the closer that you get to that manifestation, because the nervous system always wins. The default programs in our body and our mind that are subconscious always win, not how much we consciously want something. You almost want to imagine that you're wearing a pair of VR goggles, and whatever it is that you are seeing has been programmed via this supercomputer. So you could have a program that comes in that says life is hard. That VR goggle will basically start to scope out for that reality that life is hard. So you'll be given experiences that validate that life is hard. If you then plug into these VR goggles the program of people like me don't become wealthy, you will experience that reality where you repel opportunities or money because you don't believe that it's safe in your nervous system. Or if you plug into the VR goggles, I'm not worthy to be chosen, then you will consistently attract inexperience that validate that. You will date people that don't value you and that don't end up choosing you but choose someone else. You will have experiences in business where your ideas don't get chosen. This starts to happen everywhere because of these programs that we are plugging into our VR goggles. These programs are not truth. They are a program that is literally sitting on our head, but it is dictating the reality that we are seeing and experiencing with our eyes. When you're manifesting, what this ends up feeling like is that you have one foot on the accelerator going towards your ideas, but you have one foot on the brake at the same time, which is your subconscious mind, which is stopping you getting any closer to where you want to go. So what do we need to do? We need to remove your foot from the brake. We need to deprogram those VR goggles. We need to remove any programs that are stopping you from creating the reality that you want to create. Because again, they have been given to you through your life. When you add in then traumas or experiences that happen in your adult life, this will either create entirely new programs in your adult life or will exacerbate the same fears, creating an even stronger belief that ends up creating even more of the reality that you want to move away from. Now, a lot of these beliefs that we're talking about, what they really end up affecting is action. A really big part of manifestation is being able to take aligned action. And if we are constantly in a place where we are sabotaging ourselves and stopping our action because of the fears, we end up in a self-perpetuating loop that we can never break out of purely because of the programs that are running. So I'm going to show you guys a small diagram called the cycle of self-sabotage. So this is the cycle of self-sabotage. And when you have a program running, this is the experience that you are going to be going through unconsciously, no matter how hard you try and no matter how much you consciously want something. So whenever you try to take this action, the next thing that happens is a program is triggered. So those are the programs that are in the VR goggle. They're completely subconscious and they're going to be different for everyone based on what your upbringing has looked like or what your epigenetics are. When the program is triggered, two things will happen. Number one, there is typically an emotional response. So it will start to disturb some kind of subconscious feeling. And the next thing that happens is thoughts. This is where your inner critic can start to get really harsh. And so what you're paired with is discomfort and a feeling of disease, and then loads of really negative thoughts. Now, in its entirety, that creates a load of discomfort. Now, our bodies, just by default, don't like to experience discomfort. We want to immediately get rid of that discomfort. So what we do is we start to sabotage ourselves. Now, sabotaging action looks like procrastination, avoidance, people pleasing. Anything that you can do to basically stop the feeling. So this is basically where this action that you're trying to take, because of the discomfort that the program is creating, will create an action that isn't the one that you're trying to make. You'll often feel here, why is it that I can't seem to do this thing even though I really want to do it? Why do I feel so blocked here? It's because of the response that you have to the discomfort of the program that is coming up. Now, what happens when you sabotage, when you procrastinate, when you people please, whatever it is, that will then create your new action. It will create a reality. It will create the next step that you're experiencing. It will exacerbate more of what you've been currently experiencing. And what that usually does is it reinforces the program that was triggered right at the start. And it usually means you end up not taking the action, or you end up repeating a cycle or a pattern that you can't seem to escape because of this cycle of sabotage. This is how annoying and disruptive these programs are. So in order for us to completely reprogram ourselves, we need to look and interrupt our programs here. We need to build awareness of what programs are running so that we can completely remove them from our nervous system. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. So to reprogram ourselves, we really have 4 steps that we want to go through. Number 1 is we want to build awareness. If we don't have awareness, this is where we are reactive. That is where the cycle of sabotage is just running on a loop and you have no awareness it's even happening. So if you feel a really heightened response, or you go into a place of sabotage, or you start to feel triggered for some reason, this tells me that you are currently reactive. So this is where I have something called the inner authority scale. You are currently a 1 on your inner authority around this specific area. And you probably have little to no awareness of it. So in order to get ourselves to a 2, what we want to do is we want to build awareness. Okay, what program is coming online? What is the fear or the belief or the thought that is being activated here? Awareness is power here. And even just sometimes creating space between a reaction and the action that we take is enough time to start to reprogram us. But awareness by itself isn't enough. We need to then reprogram the body. And this is where a lot of manifestation stuff gets it completely wrong. They just say that if you just give yourself new self-concept work, it's going to completely change everything. But from this video, what I hope you're understanding is that it all lives in your nervous system. It's not just the thoughts in your mind, it's the beliefs which are inside your body. The second part is you want to consciously start taking action with this awareness. So even though you're going to be feeling a little bit uncomfortable, what action can you still take with this awareness? This is where we start saying, I know I have this problem. I know, but we're still taking an action, even if it doesn't feel good yet. We are essentially kind of exposing ourselves to the areas that we are fearful of, or we are consciously trying to program and reprogram our reality using self-concept and our words and having that filter into our actions. So things that we can do here are change our self-concept to be more positive and in line with who we want to become, and then also taking aligned action even if it's uncomfortable. Now, the third phase is where we really start to reprogram our bodies. If we're just doing conscious work, it's not going to be enough for us to fully shift our identity. Now, the fastest way that I have found to change and remove fears from the body is through breathwork and somatics. This is working directly with your nervous system to bring up the nervous system to basically bring it back down safely. It is the fastest way that I have found, and a direct line into the nervous system where all of our fears and beliefs are held. In my membership, In All Manifestation, I have a load of different breath flows for you to do to gradually expand your capacity to hold everything that you desire. We will leave all of the information about the membership in the description below. This part is really important because this is where we are basically dislodging old beliefs, and we are fully completing fight or flight responses so that we are no longer activated or reactive around that specific fear, around that specific belief. This then allows space for us to go into phase 4, which is reprogramming. This is where we insert a new empowering belief into our body so that we can start to change how we filter the world. When we do that, it's going to affect our reticular activating system and how it filters the world. So you'll then have two things that are helping you change your filter. You'll have your self-concept work, which is helping you change the thoughts inside of your mind, but you will also have the second part. Your body is going to start getting online with a new belief system because you have dislodged the old belief and you have put a new one back in it. Things like visualization, hypnosis, EFT tapping, EMDR are all really good ways of inserting in a new way of viewing the world. And this is what changes your programming. So we aren't just removing beliefs, we are reprogramming them completely. And every single program that you have running, just like a computer, can be completely reprogrammed. What you have to understand today is that the reality that you are living today was basically given to you at birth and was then programmed into you as you have grown up. You have the power to change it. You have the power to change your entire reality by changing your programming. I literally did this for myself. 6.5 years ago, I was 20K in debt. I was chronically anxious. I had debilitating social anxiety that didn't allow me to have a conversation with more than 2 people in front of me without having a full-blown panic attack. To today, no longer being in debt, owning a multi-million-dollar business, owning a multi-million-dollar home, having zero social anxiety, which allows me to literally riff on camera like I am doing to you guys right now and speak on things that I'm really passionate about. It allows me to live my dharma. All of this because I changed my programs. And my God, I had a lot of programs that were holding me back. So through all of this, I hope that you are understanding that you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you, and there is 0 point comparing yourself to anyone else around you because your DNA, your epigenetics, your programming is completely different. There is no point comparing. But what is worth your time is looking at your own programming. If you want to manifest something, no, it is within reach. All you need to do is become the person by reprogramming yourself that can hold what it is that you desire, that feels safe with taking the action that your manifestation requires you to take. If you want help with this, this is exactly what the In All membership is designed to help you do. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I will see you guys in the next episode to help you build more inner authority so that you can manifest anything that you desire. I'll see you guys in the next one.